We're we're calling this like our top picks, I guess. This is just going to be a segment where we talk through some. Each of us are going to give a movie and a TV show we have seen recently or otherwise that we would recommend our viewers to check out. Could be stuff you've already seen. That's fine. This is just our part. Like we want to give an insight into the things we watch and let everybody sort of give their own opinion, their own take on that. And I have a feeling pretty much all of ours will be something different. So, but the way it's going to work is we'll let everybody go. We'll go through and let everybody do their movie first, and then we'll come back around and do the show. And yeah, not only we're gonna give our movies, we're gonna talk about why you should see it, and just maybe talk about if that's something some of us have seen. We'll talk about that a little bit, but we're gonna let the Samartian go first. So let him give his movie starting out.
I'm sure he'll appreciate it when he joins because I'm the Samaritan.
That ship has sailed at this point.
Yeah, it's not what it's spelled, but anyways.
It's your own fault. You misspelled it that one time, and then from that point on, it's like you're the Samartian. So
It's spelled right every other time, though. But yeah, okay. Movie. Well, I'm not sure if any of you guys would like it, but I would suggest that you watch it just to, a new experience. Maybe you learn something new. It's a foreign film called Sin Nombre.
okay.
It's Spanish. It means like without name is more literal, but it can mean like John Doe because that equivalent if you're called John Doe, it means you don't have a name. But yeah, it's just the film has two protagonists. One belongs to a gang called the MS-13, and one is a Honduran teenager, and they're both the gang member ends up doing something that pisses off his other gang members, and he's on the run for his life. He runs into the Honduran girl and tries to help her, smuggle herself into the country. So they go through Mexico trying to evade the guys. It's just, it's not a flashy thing. It's just more of a people story. And yeah, I thought it was a decent ending.
Okay.
I know some people really, and is this one that's like subtitled? You have to watch it.
Yeah, they speak Spanish.
Okay, so I know some people they don't do subtitle movies. I've actually seen a couple. Like, I personally don't care that much about subtitles if you make a great movie. Like, I honestly, I've seen a couple of foreign films that. One off the top of my head I can think of that was actually, I think it was a straight to Hulu release, but it's called The 12th Man, and it's about, I think it's a Norwegian film, maybe. I'm not 100% sure where it was made, but it's all in the subtitle. They all speak whatever it is, the language in the country that it's made. It's one of those European countries. I cannot remember, but it takes place during. Trying to remember if it's World War I or II, but it's about a guy who is part of an intelligence group of 12 guys, and they're out in this frozen lake ocean somewhere. They're gathering intelligence, and they get attacked by Nazis, and he's the only one of the 12 that escapes alive, and so the entire movie is about him crossing the entire length of, I don't remember if it's Poland, whatever the country he's having to cross is occupied by the Germans. And so he's got to sneak across, and he gets the help of all these different sort of the civilians that are along the way. And it's during the winter, so it's cold, he deals with frostbite and stuff like that. But it's actually really beautifully shot. It's all on location and all in, like I said, in subtitles, but like I that stuff doesn't bother me at all if the movie's made really well. So I'd definitely be willing to check that out.
I don't know. Johnny turns my subtitles off often.
I stopped doing that. So I stopped doing that because I know it irritates you.
I gotta have subtitles on for everything because I'm deaf. So
Well, we have kids now, so a lot of times we have to if we watch
Oh.
anything. But
Another actually foreign film though to speak of though that I watched that I really enjoyed is actually The Raid. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but it's kind of like an
Heard
over
of
the
it.
top action film. It's kind of like John Wick in a way, but it's a really good movie though, personally. So if you guys ever want to watch that, it's an option.
I guess I'll give one that's not a foreign film.
Well, the one that I gave is not the one I was going to.
Yeah,
give,
that's
but
not the
we're
one I'm
just-
going for either. But I
Yeah,
just
we're
wanted to
just
point
kind of
out.
shooting off the cuff here.
The one that I was gonna say is Wonka. I know it's kind of new, but it's so for the ones that watch the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not the one with
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
The
It
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah.
yeah, it feels a lot more like the original.
Hmm.
Not as dark and weird, I
Goofy.
guess.
Well, it's technically like I
goofy.
don't remember like the one with Johnny Depp being like dark though. Personally, it's been a while since I've seen it though.
It's
like,
a little
Didn't Tim
more
Burton
de-
direct it?
It's a little bit more
Tim Burton
depressing
did direct that?
moods to some of it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
can
didn't
see
know
what
that.
he means by that.
Yeah, that's understandable. But I don't know.
But
Just,
but it's more like the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory than the newer one. But I liked it a lot. It was good. You know,
I'm sure I'll get around to watching that one eventually.
yeah, same. I've heard good things about it. I want to watch it eventually, but I haven't gotten around doing
and
it.
the main act, I think is it his last name's
Timothy
Champlain.
Timothy Chalamet. Yeah.
Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet. Yeah, he's a really good actor. So
He's a good actor. Yeah, does a good job in a lot of his movies.
he's in Dune. He's
Yeah,
really
he's
good.
great in Dune.
So
I guess I'll go ahead and give mine. I watched this one a couple weeks back. I've had it on my list for a long time. I think it's a mid 2000s movie. I just, for whatever reason, I just always put it off and never watched it. And then finally, I was browsing through. I think it was Prime Video, and oh, sorry, this is a 2016 movie. For some reason, I was thinking it was 2006. But it's a Martin
read off again?
Scorsese film called Silence, and it's
familiar.
about a couple of Catholic priests that are they are going to 17th century they are Portuguese Jesuit priests. They traveled to 17th century Japan to find their old mentor, basically. There's rumors that he's apostatized from their faith or whatever, and they go to like, hey, because at this point in Japan's history, they were basically killing anyone that was of a faith that wasn't their own, and so especially like what they would consider to be Christianity or anything like that. So the movie's kind of it's more of a sort of a pondering sort of film where it almost makes you think on it's sort of that the dynamic of how do people respond in terms of their faith in the midst of deep persecution. And so they they try to find the guy, but instead they get captured by the Japanese, and they have to see. And essentially, what the Japanese do is they're like, "Hey, we're not going to torture you. We're going to torture your followers and make you basically apostatize." Like they basically think the way to get rid of the religion is to make just people basically reject God and be done with it. So the whole film sort of deals with that concept of just because someone is if someone makes me, spit on a cross or you know put my foot over a picture of Jesus, does that mean I've rejected my religion? And so it kind of deals with those um, sort of themes. It's very deep in that sense, but very well made, very well shot. Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver are actually the two main actors, and they do a fantastic job. Adam Driver's not in it very long, but he's really great at the time he is in it. Andrew Garfield's kind of the main focus. and then Liam Neeson is also is in it there towards the end. But it's worth watching. It's definitely a slower movie, but it is very very interesting. Very very interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, give that a watch then. Well, I guess I'll start off my movie then. My movie is actually Elvis. We watched that last week, and personally,
Oh
I
no.
kind of a what?
I have seen this one, and I
You
would say
have?
the exact opposite.
Yeah, I did too.
Really? I don't know. I mean, like I never really like knew the backstory of like. I mean, I know about like how dark his past was and stuff, but I don't know. I don't think it was a terrible like movie personally. But again, I guess I really never like listened to Elvis music a whole lot, so it's like I don't know. It was interesting to watch it and like kind of I guess get more of like a in depth like thing on like how he became to be I guess as an artist and stuff. But I don't know how true it all is. I guess obviously like they probably dramatize a lot of it, but if they didn't, I guess is pretty dark honestly. Like a lot of the stuff that he did and went through and stuff. But I kind of enjoyed the movie. I thought it was decent for recently that I watched, but that would be my pick for my movie.
Yeah, that agent really screwed him over.
Big time, yeah. I'm like, yeah, very much so. So it was just and see, I never knew that honestly. Like going into it, like I didn't know that his like manager screwed him over that bad and like did all this stuff that he did to him. I had no idea that that was a thing, and then kind of brought to light on that. So
So my whole beef with this movie has nothing to do with the source material and everything to do with the way it was directed.
okay,
Because this I told my wife because I borrowed it from the library I think and watched it. I was just looking for something. I saw it on the shelf when I was there and I grabbed it and watched it. But I don't think I finished it. I think I made it almost. It's a stinking long movie.
yeah, it's like
Um,
2.5 hours or something like that.
but I told my wife, I said, watching the way it was shot, it felt like someone made this while they were on drugs because there's so many like bright flashing lights and the cuts that they make and the edits are really sharp and it's like the guy was he was like this the whole time, he's like, oh let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, and it's like he just throws it all in a shot and so everything moves. There's all sorts of weird
It's the
spin.
'60s, man. Everyone was on drugs.
No,
It's
that's fair. A lot of cocaine.
it almost made me sick watching it, the way the camera would shift and slide and turn and rotate, and it was just like I told my wife, I was like, I wanted to focus on the source material, but the directing was so distracting that I almost couldn't follow it at times. And
See,
I've only seen one other of this guy's movie that he's directed, and it was actually The Great Gatsby. That was in like the early 2010s, and I remember
Right,
thinking the
same way.
same thing about that movie,
It's the same
and it
way.
just being kind of weird in the way it was directed. So if I feel like if they'd have
Which
gotten
I
a
think
different,
I think that movie fit the book better, but
yeah,
that kind of directing. But anyway,
maybe so. I just think like it was so distracting, like for me.
yeah. See,
And
honestly, I didn't
yeah.
really have that problem. Like, I guess I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention
Does
to
that
that.
mean you're on
Maybe I don't know. No
Yeah.
comment. No,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, I don't know. I personally didn't have that issue with it, so I don't know. I just thought it was, I don't know, just interesting to see because like same thing with, like Bohemian Rhapsody. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought that was a good movie. So
But that one's actually directed pretty normally.
yes,
Like
for
it's
sure.
not.
I guess. But
Yeah,
again, I didn't have the issue with like the stuff. Like it wasn't distracting for me. I was able to like I don't know focus and pay attention to like what was going on and stuff. But I don't know. It was just interesting to like kind of actually know like what happened. I guess between him and his manager and like all the different events that happened to him.
for sure.
So
No, I mean that part's interesting for sure.
yeah,
It's just like
how
it
about the
seems like a
music too? Like
hyperactive kid directed the movie. So
yeah, it's fair. That's fair.
all right, Johnny, give us yours.
I just did, but I will. I'll give my TV show. We'll jump right into that.
That's what I meant.
Well, you sorry.
Sorry.
The Samartian will be happy about this one, and the only reason I'm bringing this one up is because it's the most recent one I've watched. Not saying it's not good. I'm just saying if I'd have watched other things, I might have recommended something different. But this one was was actually one that he recommended to me to watch. And I have one episode left to finish season 3, but this is a mid 2010s TV show called Turn, Washington Spies, and
Oh,
it was an
Good. It's good.
AMC show that ran for 4 seasons. Um, what I like about it is, and from what everything that's the Samartians told me, it's in what I've read, it's very historically accurate to most of the major events that happen in it, and most of the characters they stick pretty closely to what most people tend to agree are the actual characteristics of
Yeah.
those individuals, and especially the first season does a really good job uh, of sort of giving you the idea of what it was like for a continental spy during the Revolutionary War. Because it's about a cabbage farmer and a group of his friends who basically start spying for the Continental Army
Don't
against
necessarily want to either.
yeah, well, they kind in other ways or more ways than one. Some of them get sucked into it. Some of them
Yeah.
choose to be a part of it, but I enjoy it because it's all the costumes, the sets, and everything make everything look very realistic. They make you feel like you're actually in that time period. Even the action sequences, which I thought would be really hard to pull off with like muskets and stuff that are like you shoot them and it takes you 2 minutes to reload it kind of thing, and but they do a really good job of shooting those sequences. It's pretty gritty for an AMC show, which I know some of their like The Walking Dead and some of their other stuff is pretty gritty, but they have a good balance of that, and the writing for the most part is pretty solid. I think there's some redundancies in the script that they sort of replay some of the same plot points. Some of the characters feel like they have seriously heavy plot armor, like you can't ever get rid of them. But some of that I'm told is because those were actual people who actually survived the entire events of the Revolutionary War, so they can't really die. But it's just kind of, it's kind of
It's not that the story itself is historically accurate, but like a lot of like they use
events.
invisible ink and that stuff that they actually did do. Like they would hang laundry, a certain way when they had a message or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that. Gosh, his name escapes me. The Quaker spy, Robert Townsend. Yeah, how he would signal that he has good information. He would just take an advertisement in the Royal Gazette for like strawberry wine or something. And yeah, that was just their signal that something very subtle that in plain sight, but extremely effective.
Yeah. Well, and they also do a good job. Like I was reading about Benedict Arnold, which everybody is familiar with him, but the way they cover his story in season 3,
Yeah.
and the way it plays out with Major John Andre, who was the one he was conspiring with for the Redcoats, for the British, he was the way that actually ends up, which I just finished episode 9, which sort of shows us what's about to happen. But in historically speaking, Benedict Arnold,
Probably the most
through
famous
through
fur coat.
various discontents with the Continental Army, he decides to start passing information to the British, and John Andre was the one who was instrumental in getting him, I guess, brought into that, and also he was his contact. And so it's sort of a tragic thing, and I don't know how much the love story between the one girl who marries Benedict Arnold and that she was with John Andre. I don't know how historically accurate that is, but they do a really good job of that in the show, of making it sort of like very tense, and like it's got some really good moments there, and it makes it very tragic at the end of season 3, where this is historically accurate, so I'm not spoiling. Like it's in history, so don't be mad at me if you watch the show. But it's like John Andre is the one who ends up being hanged for the whole Benedict Arnold stuff, and Benedict Arnold ends up escaping and making it out, and surviving and everything. So it's the way they play that off in the show is really good. The John Andre character is probably one of my favorites in the show. So
That actor does a good job too.
yeah. So it's worth watching, especially if you like more period pieces, like stuff during the Revolutionary War and stuff like that. I think it's really well done. So I would definitely check it out.
Okay. Yeah, I do actually
Who's
remember watching that
next?
show. I think it was like first season of it, and then I kind of stopped watching it for some reason. But I know I started watching it like when it first came out, but I never finished it.
Season 2 it picks up more,
Okay.
for sure. But
It just kind of it picks up all the way to the end, really.
yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
Who's next?
Guess I can go actually. TV show wise, we actually just finished this season 2 of it, and they're coming out season 3. I think this year. I think at the end of the year, this year, or maybe it's it's. Oh no, it's in June. I think coming out with it. My show is called The Bear, though. I think obviously everyone probably knows or heard of it. I don't know if you guys have watched it yet, but if you haven't, I highly suggest watching it because it's a very good show. It's about, so I guess the main actor, Jeremy Allen White, he plays this guy named Carmen, and he's basically this like top notch chef. I don't know. I can't speak right now. But he works. He's a chef for this place in New York. It's like a really famous restaurant. I guess like a lot of like famous people go there, like people that are rich type deal. And he actually ends up coming back to Chicago to run his brother's sandwich shop, pretty much in Chicago. And so the reason why is because, well, they say it literally in the very first episode. I don't know if you guys want me to bring it up, but his brother ends up committing suicide, and so that's why he has to go and run his business, pretty much. And yeah, I think they just, I don't know, they do a really good job for the emotional wise. Like it's a very emotional show, like him going through the motions of like his brother passing. He does a really good job there, and then like all the chaos involving like the back room of like a restaurant is kind of cool to see because it's pretty crazy how much chaos I guess ensues back there whenever they're cooking food and all that type of stuff. But it's a really really good show, and yeah, I personally really liked it. I think it's like in my top like 5 honestly of shows I've watched. I think. So
I heard I know it won an award at one of the award ceremonies, but I think it was Ben Shapiro. I heard say that it was the best show he saw last year, and he said like not, and it wasn't even close.
yeah,
He
I
would be
think a lot of
the
people.
one person I can remember that actually like that's the one source I remember seeing because I think he was discussing the Grammy or the not the Grammys, the Academy Awards or whatever was the awards show that they did
Mhm.
that nobody watches a few weeks ago, but um, it's just true, guys. It's just true. Um, but yeah, I'm curious about that. I think I want to check it out because anytime it gets sort of high praise like that
Yeah.
from any, and I keep hearing that name a lot of that show, and I'm like, yeah, when you keep hearing it over and over again, the word of mouth gets around. It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
need to check that out.
100%. And so if you guys have not watched it, I highly suggest it. I mean, it has like a lot. I wouldn't say a lot of language, but there is a good bit of language in it. But it's not like Deadpool level wise language, so I don't think you
Not
really got to
much
worry about
is.
it that much. I don't know. It's just again, it's a really good show. Very emotional. Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of like it gets that vibe to like where like when he's got it going through the motion of his brother passing, it kind of like hits you hard almost in a way because like you're like, dang, like if that actually did happen, like this is it's obviously suck and stuff, but like it just I don't know, trying to like almost makes you feel like you lost your brother in a way.
Hmm.
And so like he just does a
Nice.
really good at acting in the show and does a really good job. So and also John Bernthal actually plays his brother too, which is kind of cool. And I love John Bernthal. So he's in the show a little bit with flashbacks and all that type of stuff. And yeah,
Yeah, he's great. I like him a lot.
so
He's the Punisher.
sure is. Always will be.
All right.
So mine is I got 2. One because
Hold up. You don't get 2. What are you talking about?
well, one is a cop out. One is a
I'm
cop
just
out.
just
I thought it
kidding.
was really good, and it's too short to be like a. So one, I just recently watched Quarterbacks on Netflix.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a kind of documentary kind I don't get a whole lot of time to watch TV shows, but the most I would say the one that's not a cop out is Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
I've
I
heard
know
a lot
that-
of good things about that. Yeah.
I know it's probably mainstream, I guess, but it's really good. I don't want to give too much away. It's basically about this gang of that's kind of starts like a family affair at first that they would they started in the streets of Birmingham in England, and Thomas Shelby's the main character's name.
It's Cillian Murphy, isn't it?
Yeah,
That plays the main
Cillian
actor.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's
Yeah.
in
Or
it
the
too, I
character.
think. So
yeah,
Ooh.
Tom Hardy's in it.
yeah, Tom Hardy's in it.
He's kind of in it when they start branching out, but basically they grow, and then I think I'm in the last season now. I think Thomas actually gets elected to, what do they call it, Parliament. But
Isn't
anyway,
it based like an actual person?
yeah. Well, that gang was real.
Yeah, I heard like it was dramatized a good bit, but I heard
Yeah. Oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
characters are
Yeah.
all real characters, but obviously everything isn't accurate to like what
Yeah, the
actually
Shelby
happens.
family is a real family, but I don't think there was ever a. I'd have to look. I hadn't looked much in depth, but I don't think there was ever one that got elected to public office. But
No.
Yeah.
it's a good show.
I have
Cillian
heard
Murphy,
a lot
Cillian
about
Murphy
that one.
kills it.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I heard it's a really good show. It's on my list to watch.
Fun fact, the guy who wrote Peaky Blinders, Stephen Knight, is writing the script for the Ray movie. So
For the what movie?
the Ray movie, the Star Wars movie.
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
just a fun fact.
Oh dear. Oh well, I guess it's my turn.
Don't sound so glum about it. It's not
No, I
fun.
was glummed that you mentioned the Ray movie. But
Look, it's a fun fact. I didn't say it
no,
was
it's definitely not fun.
okay.
Anyways.
Fun.
So yeah, I guess I'll do another foreign choice. I would actually I enjoyed this series a lot more than I enjoyed any other kind of superhero kind of story. It's a comedy. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, it has some serious moments in the story as well. But yeah, the key is take it for what it is. It's satirical away and it pokes fun at superhero genre. It's called One Punch Man.
Oh, an anime. Okay.
Yeah. So he's never like called One Punch Man in the story. That's just like what. Yeah. Saitama.
Saitama.
Think after. Yeah. And the premise is that okay, he's kind of like a stand-in for Superman. He just has unlimited strength. He's invincible, and you don't really know why. Like he just worked out, and it's one of the jokes in the series that he tries to explain how he gained ultimate power, and it's something completely ridiculous. And
it was just him like doing like push-ups and stuff in his bedroom.
yeah, he like ran 10 kilometers a day, did 100 push-ups, sit-ups, and yeah, that's how he has ultimate power now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's drawn very well. It's very comedic. Even though it's made in Japan and there's a bit of a language barrier, it didn't really matter. I think it could be humorous to any nationalization.
That's
But,
like the scene from Spider-Man 2 where he's at the theater and he flips over the car and the two kids are like, "Whoa, how did you do that?" And he's like, eat your green vegetables. And he's like, "That's what my mom told me, but I never actually believed her." It's kind of that whole.
But yeah, he trains so hard. The bad side is that he goes bald because he trains so hard.
Yeah.
And
Sure is.
yeah, people poke fun at him a lot. And he's the only one that wears a cape in the story. And yeah, one of the other funny things, even though he has unlimited power and he's invincible, everyone just keeps thinking that he's pathetic and weak.
Mm.
Like they have like a superhero ranking system. Some of it's based off of popularity, but some of it's based off of power. He's like rank C, like at the beginning of the series, and he could beat up like the ones in like S class easily. But yeah, they just treat him that way because he looks ridiculous.
I also
So
want to
you're
point out
basically
the
saying
name.
his main superpower is that he's like jacked, basically, just like muscular.
Pretty much. Well,
Yeah, he can beat anyone in one shot.
no, it's literally his name is One Punch Man, and he literally the very first like fight scene you see, he just hits them one time and they're done. Like,
Yeah, it's part of the more serious part of the series is like, okay, if you had unlimited power and invincibility, you would probably miss things like excitement.
mhm.
Because nothing's a threat to him. Everyone that tries to attack him is kind of like this joke, and he misses the time when he could be excited and he could just have that thrill, that adrenaline. But no, because he's invincible, he's largely lethargic. He only becomes a superhero because that was just something he wanted to do as a kid. So it's even a silly reason. They poke fun at that on the first episode that he mentions that, and the villain's like, "Wait, that's retarded. That's a horrible motivation." And then he like slaps the guy and he dies. But
Sounds pretty funny. I mean,
Honestly, it's a good show actually. Once I watched it as well. But
I've never been, and like I said, I respect the genre. I've just never been much for anime. No,
you should watch it.
Just anytime I've tried, I've just never been able to get behind the art style, I guess. And like I said, I have the utmost respect for it. And I have plenty of friends, Schultz being one of them.
Okay,
But I
there was
don't know.
actually
If like they did the whole Visions thing for Star Wars, which was basically just Star Wars anime, and like I love Star Wars, and I'll watch just about anything Star Wars, but I had a hard time watching a lot of those just because of the style. I'm just not the biggest fan of.
yeah, I mean, personally, a lot of like I don't know. I think Vision isn't like a good like example of that though, because like Vision's like artwork is a lot different compared to like other anime. It's like artwork and stuff. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's not really. I don't consider Vision like anime. If I'm being honest, like, it just doesn't feel like that to me, at least.
But yeah, I mean, I'd suggest you try it out. Just give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, there was a YouTuber that I watched, and he compared One Punch Man with Deadpool, the movie, the original movie. And yeah, he was just like, Deadpool sucks. Here, let's see how One Punch Man did it better. And yeah, I watched One Punch Man. Yeah, it's that comedy definitely lands. It's not vulgar, so that would probably be very appealing to you, John. Like, it's able to be comedic without any of that, or like,
Well, my thing is that it's not that it's something can't be vulgar at all. It's just like it's when it's vulgar for vulgar's sake and not because it somehow enhances the story in some way. Like that's my thing. Is if it's just almost like filler, it's not really
well, I mean,
conducive to what's going on. I guess
I didn't see the Deadpool movie, but what I like gathered from it from just other sources is like its point was trying to be contrarian. Like you had your Captain America movie, you had your Thor movie, you had your Spider-Man movie, and they're all like this, goody two shoes kinds of characters. And Deadpool was like, well, I'm not going to be like that. I think he even says that in the trailer. It's like, well, I'm not your average superhero. And yeah, part of that was he's just going to cuss a lot because the other guys don't. His existence was a negation of other people.
He's basically a troll of like it's almost like a satire of superhero movies because
he more or less just wants to like stick it to all the other superheroes type deal in a way.
But where those movies are the best is like the one scene at the end of I think it's the second one where he shows up at the end of the X-Men Origins Wolverine and he shoots the really bad version of Deadpool that they did in that movie in the head and he's like yeah he says something like well I just saved us all from that or something like from that misery or something like that. And it's and then that's where the movie does a good job is where he takes like old bad stuff where they basically fixed it and he shows up in that.
Well,
it's
funnier.
pretty funny.
Funnier about that though is like when he shows up behind himself or whatever, Ryan Reynolds or whatever, with the Green Lantern script, and he just shoots himself in the head, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like that was probably
Yeah.
best part about that.
I love how they can make fun of it. I love that's what was funny about the trailer too, where he was like, he's like, look, he's like, I'm not. What does he say? I'm not unfamiliar with pegging, but Disney is, or something like that. I don't remember what he says.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they
pegging's
said.
not new to me, but it is for Disney.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny stuff like that. It's like he's like, this little cinematic universe of yours, I'm about to come in here, and yeah, and maybe that's just what Marvel needs at this point.
I was
don't know,
about to say.
but
We'll see.